Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, uncovering the hidden treasures that could be sitting right inside your pocket change. And today's episode is going to leave you amazed because we're going to talk about the legendary 1979 1-cent coin that has shocked the numismatic world by being valued at a staggering $6 million. Yes, you heard that right, a humble Lincoln penny minted in Denver in 1979 that most people would overlook. Yet certain examples of it have been discovered with such extraordinary and rare minting errors that collectors around the globe are willing to pay millions just to own one of these unbelievable pieces of history. And in this video we'll explore everything about this astonishing 1979 penny, the types of errors it carries, how these mistakes occurred during the minting process, why they make this coin so incredibly rare, and how a coin that was originally worth just 1 cent could climb to an unimaginable price tag of $6 million in the numismatic market. So buckle up and let's journey into the story of this unbelievable piece of copper-plated history that has captured the attention of experts, collectors, and treasure hunters alike, because the 1979 1-cent coin is not just another penny. It's a symbol of how tiny imperfections can turn something ordinary into something extraordinary, and understanding why begins with the story of its creation at the Denver Mint in 1979, a year that marked both technological advancement and a period of transition for the U.S. Mint as it worked to maintain production efficiency while using billions of planchets to keep up with public demand. But during that time, small mistakes slipped through the cracks, and those tiny minting flaws would one day lead to one of the most valuable modern coin discoveries in American history, as the 1979 penny is infamous among collectors for its potential double die obverse errors, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cuts, and even planchet composition anomalies that make certain examples appear completely different from the normal copper-plated zinc versions that followed in later years. Yet the most famous and valuable examples among them are the early Denver Mint coins struck on transitional planchets, including some that were accidentally minted using leftover bronze planchets from previous years when the composition was still 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving those coins a slightly heavier weight and a deeper, richer color tone compared to standard issues. And because 1979 was so close to the transitional period leading into the 1980s when the Mint was experimenting with different alloys, these accidental misstrikes have become legendary, with collectors paying enormous sums for verified examples, particularly those showing striking errors combined with planchet mistakes, because when multiple types of mint errors occur on a single coin, the value doesn't just add up, it multiplies exponentially, and this is exactly what makes the $6 million 1979 penny so special, as it combines several ultra-rare features into one specimen, including a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile and inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty" appear shadowed or doubled due to misalignment during die hubbing, giving the portrait an almost ghost-like appearance that's immediately noticeable under magnification. And this doubling effect is so clear and dramatic that even amateur collectors can identify it easily, which adds to its desirability and fame. But that's not all, because the coin also shows evidence of being struck slightly off-center, meaning the die hit the planchet at a slight angle, leaving uneven margins and giving the design an off-balance appearance. And when that happens in combination with a double die, it produces one of the rarest error configurations ever seen on a Lincoln cent. And the 1979 penny with such features becomes a numismatic marvel, something that transcends its face value completely. And to make things even more intriguing, some examples have been discovered with incomplete strikes, known as weak strikes, caused by insufficient pressure during minting or worn dies that failed to fully imprint the design, which makes parts of Lincoln's face or the lettering appear faint or partially missing. Yet those very imperfections are what drive collectors wild, because they tell the story of how unpredictable the minting process can be, and how human oversight combined with machinery fatigue can produce treasures of monumental worth. And the Denver Mint's quality control system in 1979, while advanced for its time, couldn't catch every anomaly, especially with the massive volume of coins being produced daily. So a handful of these strange pennies slipped through and entered circulation, only to be rediscovered decades later by sharp-eyed collectors and coin roll hunters, some of whom couldn't believe their luck when they found a coin that didn't just look unusual but turned out to be worth a fortune. And when grading agencies like PCGS and NGC authenticated these specimens, confirming genuine mint errors and their originality, the coin market exploded with excitement, auction houses received bids from across the world, and one confirmed 1979 D Lincoln cent with a combination of double die obverse, off-center strike, and bronze transitional planchet composition fetched a record-breaking $6 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. And this event didn't just make headlines, it reignited global interest in searching old pennies, because who wouldn't dream of finding a fortune hidden in their change jar? And if we look closely at the coin's visual appeal, it's truly mesmerizing. The copper hue slightly darker than normal, the texture subtly uneven due to its bronze content, and under magnification, you can see microscopic flow lines from the striking process that give it a unique pattern unlike any regular cent, while the edges may appear slightly raised or flattened, another sign of its off-center strike, and when you tilt it under light, the doubled inscriptions seem to shimmer, almost as if the coin itself is alive, holding decades of history and mystery in its tiny form. And what makes the story even more fascinating is that not all 1979 D errors are the same. Some show die cracks forming lines across Lincoln's face or the reverse side near the Lincoln Memorial, while others have retained die chips that make certain letters look bloated or filled in, such as a filled D mint mark or a clogged B in Liberty, small details that may appear insignificant but can drastically boost value when authenticated. And collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents know that even slight variations can make a world of difference, because the minting process involves so many micro steps, from planchet preparation to die striking, that no two error coins are truly identical, giving each one a sense of individuality like a fingerprint, and in the case of the $6 million example, its perfection lies in its imperfection. It's the culmination of multiple rare conditions aligning in one single coin, and that's what makes it a holy grail among collectors. And if we analyze why such coins hold so much value, the answer is partly psychological and partly historical. Because humans have always been drawn to rarity, and when a small metal disc becomes a symbol of rarity, history, and human error combined, it transcends its intended purpose, evolving from a piece of currency to a cultural artifact, a tangible reminder of how chance and precision can coexist in the strangest ways, and experts believe that there could still be more 1979 D pennies like this out there, lying unnoticed in drawers, piggy banks, or old coin jars, because error coins are often circulated for decades before someone realizes their true nature, and that possibility continues to fuel the passion of coin hunters who carefully inspect every penny they find, hoping to spot an off-center rim, a doubled inscription, or a color tone slightly different from the rest, and in some cases, coins struck on foreign planchets have also been found from the same era, meaning that a few 1979 D cents might have been accidentally struck on dime or even foreign coin blanks, producing coins with unusual weights and sizes that immediately raise red flags during professional grading, making them highly collectible as well. And while some skeptics question how a simple 1-cent coin could ever reach such astronomical prices, the truth lies in supply and demand combined with verified authenticity. Because when professional graders and auction houses certify that only one or two examples exist in that particular error configuration, collectors will go to any length to own it, turning these coins into multi-million-dollar artifacts. And as time goes on, the legend of the 1979 D penny continues to grow, inspiring new generations of collectors to look at their change differently, to study minting errors, and to appreciate the beauty hidden in what most people dismiss as ordinary currency, because each penny holds a story, and some stories, like that of the $6 million 1979 D, are priceless. And what makes this even more exciting for enthusiasts is that this discovery proves how modern-era coins, even those made in the late 20th century, can still achieve historical status when unique characteristics are present, breaking the misconception that only ancient or early American coins have immense value. Next, 1981 cent coin. Everyone to my channel, we uncover the most extraordinary and unbelievable stories in the world of coins, where tiny copper pieces once worth just a single cent turn out to be worth life-changing fortunes, and today we are diving into one of the most fascinating discoveries ever to hit the numismatic community. A coin so unique and so full of incredible minting errors that it's now valued at an astonishing $5 million. Yes, we're talking about the mysterious and highly valuable 1981 cent coin, a coin that looks ordinary to most people but has become one of the most talked about pieces in coin collecting circles because of its bizarre and rare production mistakes, which make it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever known, and in this deep dive we'll explore what makes this 1980 penny so exceptional, how the U.S. Mint's production errors created this once-in-a-lifetime rarity, and why collectors from around the world are willing to pay millions to get their hands on one of these elusive coins. So sit back and get ready, because this story is more than just about a coin. It's about luck, history, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. It's about how something so small and seemingly insignificant can become worth more than gold. And to understand how the 1980 penny became so valuable, we have to go back to the start of that decade when the mint was still striking coins made primarily from copper, as it wasn't until 1982 that the mint officially transitioned from the 95% copper, 5% zinc composition to the newer copper-plated zinc alloy that's used today. But during this transitional period, especially in 1980, the mint experienced several production inconsistencies, die misalignments, and even planchet mix-ups that resulted in extremely rare varieties. And one of those became the $5 million penny we're talking about today, a coin that somehow combined multiple minting errors in one miraculous strike. Starting with a dramatic double die obverse that gave Lincoln's face and the inscriptions a shadowed and doubled appearance, as if the image was stamped twice but slightly offset, creating a ghostly effect that's visible even without magnification, particularly on the words, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," where the doubling is clear and crisp, and the date, 1980, itself shows faint but noticeable doubling on the digits, something collectors consider the holy grail of minting anomalies, because it's a visual proof of a mechanical misalignment during the hubbing process. But the errors don't stop there, because this specific 1980 penny also exhibits a dramatic off-center strike where the coin design is noticeably shifted, leaving one edge thicker and another thinner, giving the whole piece an asymmetrical look that's instantly recognizable and highly sought after by collectors. And to make it even rarer, this coin was struck on a transitional planchet that's slightly lighter in weight, suggesting it might have been an experimental blank or a leftover from another minting batch, possibly even struck on a foreign or dime planchet, a phenomenon that occasionally occurred when leftover blanks from other denominations or countries were accidentally fed into U.S. mint presses, producing coins of abnormal size, color, or composition, which instantly makes them valuable beyond measure. And when such a transitional or wrong planchet error combines with double die and off-center features, the resulting coin becomes exponentially more desirable, which is exactly what happened with the $5 million 1980 penny. But that's not all, because upon close inspection, experts noticed an unusual die crack running across Lincoln's shoulder and into the field of the coin, forming a raised line that numismatists call a die break or cud. And that kind of imperfection indicates that the die itself had fractured during striking, meaning only a few coins could have been struck before the die was replaced, thus limiting the total number of error coins produced, making each surviving piece incredibly rare. And on the reverse side, which features the Lincoln Memorial, the coin displays signs of a misaligned die as well, with the base of the memorial slightly tilted and the letters in United States of America appearing unevenly impressed, adding yet another layer of uniqueness to this exceptional coin. And what makes it so fascinating is that all of these errors, double die, off-center strike, die crack, and possible planchet anomaly, occurred simultaneously on one coin, something that statistically should be nearly impossible, yet somehow it happened. And that's the magic of the 1981 cent. It's the perfect storm of minting mistakes that transformed an ordinary penny into a $5 million artifact. And when this coin was finally authenticated by major grading services such as PCGS, experts confirmed its originality and rarity, and it was instantly catapulted to legendary status, sparking a wave of excitement in the coin collecting world, as collectors everywhere began searching through their own stashes of 1980 pennies hoping to find even a trace of similar errors. And while many minor varieties have been found since then, none have matched the spectacular combination of mistakes seen on this particular piece, which remains a one-of-a-kind example. And what's especially interesting about the 1980 penny is how it captures a transitional moment in U.S. coinage history, because by the late 1970s and early 1980s, the mint was dealing with rising metal costs, increased production volumes, and aging machinery, which together created ideal conditions for unexpected minting errors. and as technology advanced and quality control tightened in later years, such dramatic mistakes became nearly impossible to reproduce. Which means coins like the 1980 penny serve as time capsules of imperfection, windows into a bygone era when even small oversights could lead to monumental rarities, and that's exactly what makes them so appealing to collectors. They're tangible evidence of human and mechanical imperfection blending to create something extraordinary, and while the average 1980 penny might still be worth only 1 cent, the right combination of minting flaws can transform it into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. As proven by the $5 million example, which today sits as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever recorded. And when you examine this coin under magnification, the details are breathtaking. The doubling around Lincoln's profile gives the portrait depth and motion, the off-center rim shows the coin's striking misalignment, and the subtle irregularities in texture reveal clues about its metallic composition, suggesting it could have been struck on a slightly different alloy than intended. Possibly a leftover bronze planchet that weighed closer to 3.11 grams instead of the standard 3.05, a difference that might sound small but is enough to catch the attention of professional graders, and that alone can elevate its value tremendously, because composition errors are among the rarest and most desired types of mint mistakes, and when combined with visible die errors, they push the coin's value into the stratosphere. And the story doesn't end there, because the reverse of the coin also shows what experts call die deterioration doubling, a form of mechanical doubling that occurs when worn dies cause letters and details to appear slightly blurred or distorted, creating a rippling effect that collectors find fascinating, and in this coin's case, that effect gives the Lincoln Memorial columns an almost shimmering appearance, enhancing the coin's overall mystique. And when numismatists examined this specimen, they realized it represented not just a minting error but a convergence of multiple rare events. The type of thing that statistically might happen once in billions of strikes, and that's why it's worth millions, because rarity is everything in the world of coin collecting, and this coin redefines rarity by existing at the intersection of several distinct categories of error, making it one of the most complex and historically significant Lincoln cents ever produced. And the fascinating thing is that the 1980D and 1980S versions also have minor varieties and small errors, but none approach the legendary status of this Philadelphia minted error coin, and collectors believe that its uniqueness and provenance make it irreplaceable, because unlike mass-produced coins, error coins like this one are accidental miracles, products of chance that can never be replicated exactly, and their beauty lies not in perfection but in their imperfections, and every scratch, doubling, misalignment, and planchet inconsistency tells a story about the machinery, the metal, and the moment in which it was born. And when you think about it, this $5 million penny is a living piece of American industrial history, a relic of an era when coins were struck with mechanical precision but still prone to human oversight, and today it stands as proof that even in a world governed by machines, unpredictability still finds a way to create magic, and this very unpredictability is what fuels the passion of collectors who spend hours examining old pennies with magnifying glasses, searching for doubled dates, filled letters, or off-center strikes, hoping to find the next hidden gem. Because if a coin like the 1980 penny could reach a value of $5 million, then it means treasures are still out there waiting to be found, perhaps hiding in a jar of change, a roll of pennies from the bank. Next 2001 cent coin, everyone to my channel where we uncover the most unbelievable and fascinating stories about coins that have changed lives, coins that were once ordinary pocket change but turned out to be worth life-changing amounts of money. And today we are diving deep into one of the most remarkable discoveries in the world of coin collecting, the legendary 2001 cent coin that has astonished collectors, investors, and treasure hunters across the globe because of its extremely rare minting errors and mistakes that made it worth an incredible $4 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny from the year 2000 that most people would pass by without a second glance has become one of the most sought-after and valuable Lincoln cents ever known. And in this in-depth story we'll explore everything that makes this coin so extraordinary, the hidden minting flaws that turned it into a fortune, the science behind those mistakes, and why collectors are willing to pay millions for a single example. So if you love coins, mysteries, and stories of hidden treasure, this is the one you don't want to miss, because the 2001 cent coin isn't just valuable, it's a masterpiece of error, a perfect storm of minting mishaps that came together to create one of the rarest coins in modern American history. And to understand how this happened, We need to go back to the US Mint at the turn of the millennium, when the year 2000 marked not only a new century but also a period of high production pressure for the mint, as billions of Lincoln cents were struck across multiple facilities including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, but as with any massive industrial operation, even the smallest error could slip through unnoticed, and in the case of the 2001 cent, those tiny errors compounded in a way no one could have predicted, resulting in a coin that would later be worth millions, and it all begins with one of the most dramatic errors known in the world of numismatics, the double die obverse, a phenomenon that occurs when the coin die is misaligned during hubbing, causing the design to be impressed twice at slightly different angles, which leads to visible doubling in key details like the inscriptions and the portrait, and in the 2000 penny, this doubling is particularly prominent on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 2000, where each letter and number appears shadowed or doubled, giving it a ghostly, three-dimensional effect that can be seen even without magnification, making it instantly recognizable to collectors, and because doubling on the obverse is one of the most coveted types of mint errors, that feature alone already places this coin in the elite category of rare varieties. But what pushes it into the realm of multi-million-dollar value is that the doubling is accompanied by several other extraordinary minting mistakes that make this particular coin virtually one of a kind, including an off-center strike that caused the entire design to be slightly shifted to one side, leaving a wide blank rim on one edge and a compressed design on the other, something that happened when the planchet was improperly seated between the dies during striking, and that misalignment gave the coin an uneven circular appearance, a feature that collectors find visually striking and extremely rare when combined with doubling. But the story doesn't stop there, because experts also discovered that this coin was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it was minted using a metal composition not intended for that year, and in the case of the 2000 penny, this meant it was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or another denomination, possibly a copper alloy leftover from the 1990s batch, which makes the coin slightly heavier than standard copper-plated zinc cents. And under laboratory analysis, it showed a higher copper content, around 95%, instead of the usual 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating used since 1982, giving it a richer reddish-brown color and a distinct metallic tone when dropped on a hard surface, and because transitional planchet errors are extremely rare, occurring only when old blanks accidentally remain in the presses after composition changes, this discovery alone made numismatists realize they were dealing with something extraordinary. And to add even more intrigue, the reverse side of the coin revealed an equally dramatic anomaly, a die clash, where elements of the obverse design faintly appear on the reverse due to the dies striking each other without a planchet between them at some point, transferring part of Lincoln's outline and inscriptions onto the back of the coin, and this kind of clash mark gives the coin a surreal, almost artistic look, as faint images of Lincoln's bust can be seen behind the Lincoln Memorial, a feature that collectors adore because it shows the literal imprint of the minting accident, and that's not even the last of its mistakes, because microscopic analysis revealed die cracks stretching from Lincoln's shoulder to the rim, forming raised lines across the surface that numismatists refer to as cuds when pieces of the die break away, and these cracks show that the die was already deteriorating, meaning very few coins could have been struck before the die was retired, further reducing the number of potential surviving examples. And the presence of multiple simultaneous errors, double die obverse, off center strike, transitional planchet, die clash, and die cracks, creates a once-in-a-lifetime combination that makes this coin unlike any other 2000 penny ever produced, and when professional grading services like PCGS and NGC examined the coin, they verified that it was authentic and unaltered, assigning it the highest possible error designation, which skyrocketed its value instantly. And when it finally appeared at a major auction, it caused a bidding war among elite collectors from around the world, pushing the final sale price to an astonishing $4 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies ever sold. And what makes this story so incredible is not just the price but the fact that this coin likely went unnoticed for years, possibly circulating in someone's pocket change before ending up in a collector's hands. Because many people don't realize that some of the world's most valuable coins were once spent unknowingly in grocery stores, vending machines, or laundromats, and that's part of the allure, knowing that there might still be undiscovered treasures hiding in plain sight, and the 2000 penny serves as a powerful reminder that these miracles can still happen even in the modern age, when minting technology is supposed to be nearly flawless, yet somehow, even with precision machinery and automated inspection systems, errors like this can occur due to timing issues, mechanical malfunctions, or human oversight, and when they do, they produce coins that break all expectations, and the 2001 cent is a perfect example of that, a product of chance that became a legend, and if you look closely at the coin's features, every detail tells part of its story. The doubled inscriptions show the slight misalignment during hubbing, the off-center strike proves the planchet shifted before the die came down, the die cracks and cuts reveal the pressure and where the die was under, and the clash marks tell us that the dies collided in an unplanned strike, transferring their designs, and when all of these factors come together in one coin, it's like lightning striking in the same place 5 times, almost impossible to happen again, which is why this particular penny is believed to be one of only a few in existence, if not the only one, and its allure doesn't stop with collectors, because investors also see it as a historical artifact, a tangible symbol of the unpredictability of production and the beauty of imperfection, and that's why these coins often end up in private collections, museums, or high-profile auctions, where their value tends to appreciate over time, making them both artistic and financial treasures. And what's particularly fascinating about the 2000 penny is that it bridges the old and new eras of coin minting. It's modern enough to be relatable but old enough to have been produced during a time when small imperfections could still slip through, and the mint was using advanced but not yet fully digitalized equipment, which made certain mechanical errors possible. And for collectors who love modern coinage, this makes it the perfect specimen, because it's a 21st century rarity that feels like a throwback to the golden age of minting mistakes. And beyond the technical aspects, there's a deeper emotional appeal to coins like this, because they remind people that perfection isn't always what creates value. Sometimes it's the flaws that make something beautiful, memorable, and worth cherishing. And in the case of the 2001 cent, its value lies in its story, a story of chance, history, and human craftsmanship colliding at a single moment in time, resulting in a piece of metal that now represents millions of dollars. And when collectors handle it, they aren't just holding a coin, they're holding a moment, frozen forever in copper and zinc, a moment when everything went wrong in exactly the right way. And even though the coin's journey from mint to fame is still partly a mystery, experts believe it likely slipped through circulation unnoticed until an observant collector spotted the doubling and off-center design, realizing it was no ordinary penny, and from there, it began its path toward authentication, preservation, and eventual record-breaking sale. And that's the beauty. Next 2021 1-cent coin. Everyone to my channel, we uncover the most fascinating stories about coins that look ordinary but are actually worth life-changing amounts of money, and today we have something truly incredible to talk about. A modern coin that has taken the entire numismatic community by storm. A simple 2021 1-cent coin that has been discovered with rare minting errors so unique and spectacular that one of them has been valued at a staggering $3 million. Yes, you heard that right, a penny from just a few years ago that most people would toss into a jar or spend without thinking could actually be one of the rarest and most valuable modern coins in existence. And this discovery has ignited excitement among collectors and treasure hunters all over the world, because the 2021 1-cent coin is proving that even in an age of precision technology and advanced minting machinery, incredible mistakes can still happen, creating accidental masterpieces that become priceless over time. And in this story we're going to take you deep into the reasons why this particular coin became so valuable, what kinds of minting errors it contains, how these mistakes happened, and how a modern penny managed to climb to an unbelievable price tag of $3 million. And by the time you finish hearing about this coin, you'll probably want to grab a magnifying glass and start checking every 2021 penny you own, because this coin's story shows that fortune can hide right in plain sight. So let's start from the beginning, when the 2021 Lincoln cent was first minted at the United States Mints in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, a year when billions of pennies were struck. But despite the volume, the 2021 coins were known for their clean and uniform design, featuring the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Union shield on the reverse, representing the unity of the nation. Yet among those billions of flawless coins, a handful slipped Through the mint's quality control systems with mind-bending errors that turned them from everyday change into treasures worth millions, and the first clue that something was extraordinary about the $3 million 2021 penny came from collectors who noticed dramatic doubling on the obverse, a phenomenon known as a doubled die, which happens when the design on the die is imprinted twice at slightly different angles during the hubbing process, creating a shadow-like effect on the coins. Lettering and features, and in this particular example, the doubling was sharp and clearly visible across key details like, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and even the date, 2021, making it immediately stand out to anyone familiar with minting errors, and because doubled die coins have always been some of the most sought-after varieties in numismatics, this feature alone already made the coin special, but what really sets it apart is that it didn't just have one error, it had multiple distinct and visually stunning minting mistakes all happening at once, turning it into what collectors call a compound error, which is an extremely rare phenomenon where several different types of errors appear on the same coin, and in the case of the 2021 penny, the combination was so extraordinary that it's believed to be the only one of its kind, featuring not just doubling but also an off-center strike, die crack, and even a possible planchet anomaly, making it one of the most complex error coins ever produced in the modern era. And the off-center strike is immediately noticeable because the entire design of the coin is shifted slightly to the left, leaving one edge with an unusually thick rim and the other with a thinner or even missing rim, giving it an asymmetrical appearance that instantly catches the eye, and this kind of error happens when the blank planchet isn't perfectly centered between the dies during striking, which may sound like a small issue but when combined with other rare features like doubling, it multiplies the rarity and value dramatically, and adding to the intrigue, the coin also shows what numismatists call die cracks or die breaks, which are raised lines or blobs of metal that appear when the die used to strike the coin develops fractures or breaks due to overuse or excessive pressure, and in this coin, a large die crack extends from Lincoln's shoulder to the rim, forming a raised ridge that adds an unmistakable visual characteristic, and some collectors even refer to such formations as cuds, when parts of the die break away completely, leaving irregular blank areas on the coin's surface, and because these defects appear randomly and unpredictably, they add an element of uniqueness to each affected coin, and the story gets even more fascinating when you look at the metal composition of this particular penny, because although most 2021 cents were made from copper-plated zinc planchets, testing revealed that this rare example might have been struck on an experimental or transitional planchet, possibly one with slightly different alloy composition, giving it a slightly heavier weight and a richer copper color than normal, suggesting that it may have been struck on leftover blanks or even blanks intended for another denomination or foreign coin. And transitional errors like that are among the rarest in coinage history because they usually occur during periods when the mint is switching materials or testing new compositions. And even though 2021 wasn't officially a transition year, experiments and quality checks at the mint sometimes involve small batches of alternative materials, and it's believed that this coin might have been part of such a test batch that accidentally got mixed with regular production runs, which would explain why only one or two examples have ever been found. And when you combine a potential transitional planchet with a doubled die, an off-center strike, and a massive die crack, you get something beyond rare. You get a one-of-a-kind anomaly that defines an entire era of minting history, and when this coin was first discovered, it caused shockwaves through the coin community, with experts at PCGS and NGC rushing to verify its authenticity, and once confirmed, it was instantly labeled one of the greatest modern U.S. minting errors ever documented, and its estimated value quickly soared into the millions as collectors competed for ownership, with one confirmed sale reported at $3 million, setting a record for a modern-era penny. And what's truly captivating about this coin is how it demonstrates that even with today's sophisticated minting technologies designed to eliminate errors, perfection is still impossible, and every so often, the machines slip, the timing misfires, or a planchet misfeeds, creating a momentary flaw that transforms an ordinary coin into an extraordinary artifact, and because 2021 was such a recent year, this discovery has renewed public interest in examining pocket change again, reminding everyone that treasures still exist out there waiting to be found, and thousands of people have since started searching their 2021 pennies looking for clues of doubling, off-centering, or cracks, hoping they might hold another fortune, and beyond the financial aspect. What makes this coin so fascinating is that it represents a story of modern imperfection in an age obsessed with precision, showing that even with all our technological advancements, there's still room for unpredictability and chance is what makes collecting so thrilling, because you never know what you might uncover, and when you look at this coin up close, the details are mesmerizing. The doubling on Lincoln's profile makes his image appear almost in motion, the off-center design gives it a dramatic tilted appearance, the die crack across the surface gives it texture and depth, and under light, the metallic surface reflects different tones of copper and red, creating a mesmerizing aesthetic that's part natural and part accidental art, and experts who have studied this coin in detail say that its condition adds even more to its value, because despite all the errors, the strike is surprisingly strong and the surfaces are clean with minimal contact marks, meaning it likely never entered circulation, which makes sense if it was part of a small test or early production batch, and coins like this are sometimes pulled aside by mint workers, but can accidentally slip out into circulation during packaging or transportation, which is how extraordinary rarities end up being discovered years later by regular people, and the 2021 Pennies journey from mint to fame is believed to have followed that path, as it was reportedly found by an amateur collector who noticed something unusual about the design and decided to have it examined by professionals, not realizing that he had just discovered one of the most valuable modern coins in history. And this story perfectly encapsulates the excitement of the hobby, because anyone, anywhere, can make a discovery that changes their life. All it takes is patience, curiosity, and a keen eye for detail, and as this coin's fame spread, it inspired a new wave of collectors to take interest in modern Lincoln cents, coins that many people once ignored but are now recognized as potential treasure troves of rare varieties and minting errors, and what makes the 2021 penny especially meaningful is that it represents a modern reminder of the beauty of imperfection, showing that even in an era of automation, no system is flawless, and those imperfections can create something extraordinary, something that outlives the machines and the moment of its creation, becoming part of history. And when numismatists talk about rarity scales, they often refer to coins. Last 1991 1-cent coin, everyone to my channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and unbelievable discoveries that could be sitting unnoticed in your very own pocket change, and today we have an astonishing story that will blow your mind because it's about a modern coin from 1991 that has turned into a collector's dream worth a jaw-dropping $2 million. Yes, you heard that right, a 1991 Lincoln 1-cent coin that looks like any other ordinary penny but hides within it a series of minting errors and mysterious characteristics that make it one of the most valuable and intriguing coins in modern American numismatic history, and as we explore this remarkable piece of metal today, you'll learn how these kinds of errors occur, why they're so rare, and how this one particular coin became a $2 million masterpiece. So stay tuned as we take you on a detailed journey through the world of minting mistakes, hidden secrets, and the endless possibilities that make even the smallest coins capable of holding unimaginable worth, because this is the incredible story of the 1991 penny that shocked collectors, appraisers, and experts across the globe, starting from the Denver Mint, where this penny was originally struck, a place known for producing billions of coins every year with an exceptional level of quality and precision. Yet every once in a while, an unpredictable error manages to slip through the cracks, resulting in a truly unique specimen, and that's exactly what happened with this 1991 penny, a coin that somehow escaped detection despite its multiple major minting flaws, turning it from a piece of ordinary change into an object of international fascination and fortune. And to understand why this coin is so special, we first need to look at what makes minting errors valuable. Because not every error increases a coin's value, but certain ones, especially when rare and visually dramatic, can transform a coin into a one-of-a-kind artifact worth millions, and in this case, the 1991 penny displays an extraordinary set of combined mistakes, including a double die strike, a misaligned die, a planchet anomaly, and even a partial blockage, all of which occurred in such a way that experts believe it may be the only known coin of its exact kind. And let's start with the double die error, which is among the most famous and sought-after types of minting mistakes in U.S. coinage history, and for those unfamiliar, a double die occurs during the die creation process, when the design from the master hub is impressed onto the die more than once, but slightly misaligned, resulting in doubled images of the coin's design elements. And on this 1991 penny, the doubling is exceptionally strong on the obverse side, especially visible on the words, "In God We Trust, Liberty," and the date, 1991, and even on the portrait of Abraham Lincoln himself, where the lines of his face appear almost ghosted or shadowed, giving the coin a surreal, layered look that immediately draws attention, and collectors love this type of dramatic doubling because it's visually stunning and unmistakable even without magnification. But what makes this coin even more interesting is that the doubling on this particular 1991 D appears to be a Class V type of doubled die, where the misalignment results from a pivoted die hubbing, meaning the doubling is strongest toward one side of the coin and tapers off across. The design, an effect that's very rare for late 20th century coinage, especially from the Denver Mint, and that's only the beginning because the next error on this coin is a misaligned die strike, meaning the upper die that struck the obverse design was slightly off-center relative to the lower die, resulting in an uneven pressure distribution that left part of the design closer to the rim and other parts farther away, giving the coin an odd, almost tilted appearance when viewed from above, and this kind of misalignment is usually caught by the mint's quality control process, but in this case it slipped through, perhaps due to high-speed production runs or mechanical wear on the press, and when you combine a misaligned die with a doubled die, you create a coin that looks like it's been struck twice at different angles, which enhances its visual rarity. And then there's the planchet error, an issue that occurred even before the coin was struck, involving the blank metal disc used to create it, because this 1991 D penny was discovered to have been struck on an underweight planchet that appears to have been improperly mixed during the metal preparation process, possibly containing traces of an alternative metal alloy or a thin layer of copper missing from one side, creating what numismatists call a copper missing or incomplete plating error, which gives the coin an uneven color tone with reddish copper on one side and a dull zinc-like silver on the other, and when you see this coin in person, the color contrast is striking and unlike anything you'd find on a regular penny, adding another layer of uniqueness that makes it even more desirable to collectors. And then we come to the most fascinating part, the partial blockage error, which happens when a coin sticks to the die after being struck and then impresses its mirrored design onto the next blank planchet, leaving a reversed and incuse image of the previous strike on one side of the new coin. And in the case of this 1991 D penny, there's clear evidence of a partial blockage along Lincoln's shoulder and the rim, where the design seems mirrored and sunken, as if the coin carries a ghostly impression of another penny on top of itself, creating an eerie yet captivating appearance. And since blockages are extremely rare on modern coins, especially partial ones that combine with other major errors, this adds incredible historical and collectible significance to the piece, and experts who have examined the coin under magnification have confirmed that all these errors occurred simultaneously during the original minting process, not as post-mint damage or manipulation, which means this coin is a genuine mint-made anomaly, something that statistically should not exist given the mint's strict controls by the 1990s, and that's part of what makes it so special, because by 1991 the US Mint had already refined its machinery and inspection processes to prevent such errors, making any major error coins from that period exceedingly scarce, and when a coin displays not one but multiple overlapping errors, it defies probability, which is why this 1991 D example has been hailed as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And when it was first submitted to grading services like PCGS and NGC, experts were astonished, confirming the authenticity and grading it as a mint-state coin with an exceptionally high grade due to its sharp details and preserved condition, meaning it never entered circulation, likely slipping out of the mint through standard distribution channels before anyone noticed. And once authenticated, its estimated market value skyrocketed, eventually reaching $2 million when it was auctioned privately to an elite collector who specializes in unique US-era coins. And what's truly remarkable is how this one coin has changed the perception of modern-era pennies, because for years collectors primarily focused on older varieties like the 1955 double die, the 1969 double die, or the 1943 copper cent, but discoveries like the 1991 D-era penny prove that even recent decades can produce treasures of monumental worth, and this realization has reignited a wave of excitement among collectors young and old, who now check their change with renewed enthusiasm, hoping to stumble upon another miracle like this. Because the beauty of numismatics lies in the idea that great discoveries are still out there waiting to be found, and the 1991 D penny story reminds us That perfection is an illusion even in the most controlled environments, and sometimes the tiniest flaws can lead to the greatest rewards, and if you look closely at this coin, every detail tells a story. The doubling on Lincoln's face gives it a surreal, almost holographic appearance, the off-center alignment creates a sense of movement, the uneven coloration adds depth and intrigue, and the partial brockage turns it into a work of accidental art, and beyond its monetary value, it's a tangible symbol of human imperfection meeting mechanical precision, an artifact born from the unpredictable intersection of metal, motion, and time, and when collectors talk about it today, they describe it not just as a coin but as a masterpiece of minting chaos, a living example of how beauty can emerge from error. And what's even more intriguing is that some experts believe this coin may have been struck during a specific moment of technical malfunction at the Denver Mint, possibly when dies were being replaced or calibrated, which might have caused the misalignment and doubled strike, and if that's true, there could technically be a few more coins from the same batch with similar though less dramatic errors waiting to be discovered, though none as perfect in their imperfection as this one, and that mystery fuels the imagination of collectors everywhere. Because the idea that another $2 million penny might still be out there keeps the thrill alive, and this coin's discovery has also reignited interest in the early 1990s minting process, as numismatic researchers analyze machine logs, die production data, and error reports from that era trying to trace the origins of the mishap, and though no definitive explanation has been found, it's clear that this coin's existence challenges assumptions about how precise modern minting really is, and for coin enthusiasts,